Imagine a band, right? A band whose entire musical identity is just built on agonizing, suicidal despair.
Oh, yeah, just pure darkness.
Exactly. And they exist entirely in the shadows. Like, they release their music on these intentionally degrading, really hard-to-find cassette tapes.
Right, keeping it totally inaccessible.
Yeah, exactly. And then suddenly the lead singer suffers this massive crisis and just vanishes.
Completely off the...
Without a trace. And the band is effectively dead. But when they finally resurface, the dread is gone, the acoustic guitars are gone, and this bleak aesthetic has been completely replaced by, of all things, a bright pink cartoon bunny dodging cartel snipers in Mexico.
I mean, it's one of the most drastic, whiplash-inducing creative pivots you could possibly engineer.
It's way out.
We are talking about a structural rupture that essentially wiped a project off the map, only for it to be rebuilt as something entirely unrecognizable.
Welcome to today's deep dive, everybody. We are unpacking the incredibly bizarre, near-collapse, and surrealist resurrection of an underground project called Aliicide. And to figure out how we get from, literal dread to neon pink bunnies, we've got a really wild stack of sources today.
We really do.
We're pulling from Reddit announcements buried deep within extreme metal communities, a transcript from a very strange cinematic YouTube short, the catalog of a niche underground record label, and a cultural analysis article that kind of breaks down this whole digital metamorphosis.
The transition documented in these sources is, well, it's a masterclass in how internet-native art functions today.
Right.
But to truly grasp the sheer scale of this pivot,
Right.
we have to establish the baseline first, right?
Right.
We have to look at what Aliicide was before the crisis hit.
So let's step into the dark for a minute. Aliicide started as a collaborative duo firmly rooted in a genre called DSBM.
Right.
And for anyone who doesn't, spend their weekends in the darkest corners of the music internet, that stands for Depressive Suicidal Black Metal. And from what I understand reading through this isn't just slightly sad music.
Oh, not at all, no. DSBM is a hyper-focused, uncompromising exploration of acute psychological suffering. It's about total isolation and really existential collapse. The ethos of the subculture is paramount here. It isn't just about playing heavily distorted music. It's about manifesting a visceral, profoundly uncomfortable experience for the listener.
Okay, so what does that actually sound like?
Sonically, you are dealing with harsh, feedback-heavy guitars. Incredibly shrill, pained vocalizations that, they sound like literal torture.
Jeez.
Yeah, and mid-tempo drum patterns that simulate a state of perpetual, inescapable distress.
It sounds bleak, like aggressively bleak.
It is, right. And in this original incarnation, the project was anchored by two specific individuals. You had Vidente, who operated as the lead visionary. He was the voice, the face, the performer projecting all of this tangible anguish.
Right.
Then you had amienigma, who functioned strictly as the shadow producer.
So amienigma is just kind of in the background.
Exactly. amienigma was the one quietly building the sonic architecture, in the background, while Vidente took on the emotional heavy lifting.
And their whole aesthetic, reading the sources, it's centered around this motif of Langostas, which is Spanish for locusts.
Right, the insects.
Yeah, which is a very biblical symbol. It brings to mind plagues, consumption, just absolute ruin. It perfectly matched that suffocating vibe. But they didn't just exist as like digital files floating around on a server somewhere. They actually produced a physical artifact in the real world.
A very specific type of physical artifact, too. According to our sources, on September 1st, 2020, they released a cassette tape called First Prayer.
Okay.
And the label that had put it out, Depressive Illusions Records, tells you everything you need to know about the community they were recording.
How so?
Well, looking at this label's catalog, they don't do glossy vinyl or standard CDs. They specialize in things like CDRs, 5.25-inch floppy disks, microcassettes, and vintage USSR vinyl.
Wait, hang on. 5.25-inch floppy disks, like the kind I used to play Organ Trail on in elementary school?
The exact same ones.
How do you even put an album on a floppy disk? The storage space is tiny.
You basically can't, and that the impracticality is the entire point.
Oh, really?
In the extreme metal underground, physical gatekeeping is the ultimate mark of authenticity. A pristine, easily accessible Spotify link implies you want mass appeal.
Right. You want everyone to hear it.
Exactly. But a limited-run cassette tape or a floppy disk physically degrades over time. It literally adds to the decay of the music itself.
I honestly love that concept. It's basically a secret club handshake.
Yes.
It's purposely hard to find, it's technologically difficult to listen to, and it's designed specifically to keep casual listeners entirely out of the loop. Like if you went through the trouble of acquiring that cassette, you proved you belong in the inner circle.
Exactly. The physical cassette, the raw, organic, string-driven sound, the locust imagery, that cohesive package, was the absolute identity of Aliicide.
Yeah.
Which is what makes the structural rupture that followed so devastating.
And this is where the story takes a massive turn. And really, it's as the core of our deep dive today. What happens to a band when the guy holding that secret club handshake just vanishes?
Right.
Our sources detail that Vidente suffered from severe physical and mental health issues.
Yeah, it was a major crisis.
Right. It reached a boiling point where he couldn't just, take a few weeks off to recover. He had to completely step away from the project and vanish from public creative circles entirely.
And this departure nearly ruined Aliicide permanently.
Just completely tanked it.
Yeah, and we have to look at the mechanics of why that is. Because, in a lot of pop or rock bands, if a singer leaves, you might hold auditions, hire a replacement, and just go on tour.
Sure, yeah, happens all the time.
But in depressive black metal, the only currency that matters is the authenticity of the suffering. Vidente wasn't just singing lyrics, His actual real-world pain was the foundational pillar of the project's legitimacy.
Okay, so because the genre demands that the pain is real, you can't just plug in a session singer to fake it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The moment Vidente left, the black metal era of Aliicide became structurally impossible to continue. The authenticity was completely shattered.
Yeah.
The suffering could no longer be verified. So the project, as it existed, was essentially killed on the spot.
And Amienigma, the shadow producer, actually had to go out and perform the last rites.
Yeah, they really did.
We have the Reddit posts here. They went into Ardsmillabim, which is the absolute heart of this gate-kept community, and also Share Your Music, to announce the death of the band.
Very publicly.
Yeah, they literally wrote, quote, "The era of Aliicide we have known up to this point has finally died. Not a hiatus, not a break. Dead."
And the actions Enigma took following that announcement are equally final.
What did they do?
Well, they archived the entire historical catalog of their black metal work.
Just hid it all?
Yep, pulling it back from the public square.
Yeah.
They then released a digital memorial playlist, simply titled Aliicide R.I.P. Vidente.
See, I was reading through the sources, and Amienigma actually popped into a totally unrelated Reddit thread where someone was sharing a drill rap beat and just casually dropped the link to this memorial playlist.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They wrote, "Here is a playlist created after the departure and disappearance of fellow band member Vidente. We had archived the older work," just burying their entire creative past in a random Reddit comment section.
Which is, archiving the past in that manner creates a definitive boundary line.
Yeah.
It is a very modern, very digital way to conduct a funeral for a creative era.
But I am struggling with this next part, though.
Okay.
Usually when the frontman of a band vanishes due to a massive personal crisis, and the project is so deeply tied to his specific identity, the band just ends.
Yeah.
The shadow producer grieves, takes some time off, and then starts a completely new project under a new name. Why didn't Amienigma just let Aliicide die in peace?
That's the big question.
Yeah. Why take the Aliicide name, which is associated with extreme metal and acoustic decay, and drag it into something entirely different?
Well, from a psychological and creative standpoint, the cultural analysis article suggests Amienigma didn't view the collapse of the band as a tragedy.
No.
No, rather as an emancipation.
Oh, wow.
The sources describe Amienigma experiencing a transcendental experience following this rupture. The organic metal structure had collapsed, leaving a massive vacuum. So instead of abandoning the name, Amienigma stepped out of the shadows and claimed absolute creative sovereignty over it.
They took total control.
Complete control.
And the pivot they executed, pivot doesn't even feel like a strong enough word for this. They didn't just change their guitar tuning, they threw the guitars into an incinerator.
They absolutely did. We see a profound metamorphosis from organic, analog, extreme metal to entirely synthetic, dark electronic music.
According to the analysis, we're talking about HyperEDM, Witch House, R.I.P elements.
Right, and for those unfamiliar with Witch House, it is a microgenre heavily reliant on spooky artificial atmospheres.
Okay.
It utilizes heavily distorted droning bass lines, slowed down trap drum patterns like those rapid-fire hi-hats, and ethereal, often pitch-shifted vocal samples that sound ghostly rather than human.
So they went from sounding like a decaying cassette tape in a freezing, desolate forest to sounding like a neon-lit underground cyberclub at 3 in the morning.
Exactly.
That is a massive sonic leap.
The mechanism behind that leap is fascinating, too, because black metal relies entirely on the human element, right?
Right, the real pain.
The physical exertion of strumming the strings, the literal tearing of the vocal cords to produce those shrieks. When that human element, El Vidente, was permanently removed, Enigma didn't try to replicate it.
They couldn't.
Right. So they leaned entirely into the opposite direction.
Yeah.
The digital, the artificial, the synthesized. It was a mechanical, technological response to a biological failure.
That makes so much sense when you frame it that way. The human broke down, so we become machines.
Exactly.
But they didn't just change the sound, they completely gutted the visual identity, too. We had the Locusts, the Langostas, the biblical plague symbolism.
Completely abandoned.
Replaced by a character named Conejito Rosado Agestas, which is a bright pink, cartoonish bunny.
Yep, a pink bunny.
Amienigma actually went through the trouble of creating and copywriting this character. So it's like a hardcore death metal band suddenly morphing into Daft Punk. But they keep a vibrant Saturday morning cartoon mascot as their frontman.
And the psychological dissonance this creates is incredibly potent.
I bet.
The subculture they originated in traditional extreme metal takes itself unimaginably seriously.
Oh, for sure.
There is zero room for irony. It relies on very direct, literal horror imagery. Skulls, decay, darkness.
Right. Nobody is cracking jokes in a DSBM forum.
Exactly. So by inserting a cartoonish pink bunny over these dark, oppressive electronic beats, Amienigma subverts all the standard horror tropes. It creates a feeling of profound unease, precisely because it doesn't belong there. The contrast between a bright, copyrighted pink rabbit and dread-inducing distorted bass frequencies is unsettling. It's a surrealist approach to horror rather than a literal one.
And they actually documented this weird transition phase, too. Our sources mention an EP they released called Langostas, Pink Bunny.
Right, the bridge.
Yeah, the cultural analysis piece points to this as the literal bridge. It ties the old locust motif to the new rabbit mascot, almost like they were holding the listener's hand and walking them from the crumbling metal architecture over into the new electronic club.
Which ultimately sets the stage for their upcoming full-length album, which is significantly titled IMAGO.
Okay, I am somewhat of a biology nerd, and I love this detail so much.
That's great.
Imago is the biological term for the final, fully developed adult stage of an insect after it goes through metamorphosis.
Right.
It has the butterfly emerging from the chrysalis.
And the use of that specific term establishes a brilliant meta-narrative.
How so?
Well, the project itself is retroactively declaring that the Depressive Black Metal era, the era fans thought was the definitive Aliicide, was merely its larval stage.
Oh, wow.
It was a restrictive cocoon, and the devastating crisis that removed El Vidente, that was merely the catalyst required to break the chrysalis open, allowing the project to take its final, highly structured form under Enigma's sole control.
Okay, but put yourself in the shoes of the original fans for a second.
Okay, sure.
The purists who bought that degrading First Prayer cassette on a floppy disk, I can't imagine they were thrilled to see their agonizing despair band replaced by a neon bunny dropping rap beats.
Definitely not.
Did Enigma essentially use the ArtsPem Reddit community just to announce they were abandoning them?
It appears to be a very calculated subcultural deconstruction. By returning to the very forums of that gatekept community to announce the shift toward HyperEDM, Enigma was actively decoupling from their constraints in public.
Just ripping the Band-Aid off.
It was a declaration of independence. They were broadcasting to the gatekeepers that the old rules no longer applied.
Like, thanks for the support, but we're doing Witch House now. Have a good life.
Pretty much.
It's so bold. But as we look deeper into our sources, this metamorphosis didn't stop at just changing musical genres. The scope of this thing gets so much bigger.
Oh, massive. Aliicide effectively ceased to be just a music project. Enigma absorbed it into a much larger digital infrastructure that they control called the original Enigma Studios.
And this studio does a little bit of everything. Independent art, digital media, meme curation, satirical news.
Right.
Aliicide isn't the main event anymore. It became just one audiovisual component of a massive interconnected universe.
It transitioned from a band into a decentralized multimedia performance art piece. The music now acts as the soundtrack to a sprawling internet narrative.
We actually have a perfect, tangible example of this narrative in our stack of sources.
A YouTube short.
Yeah, there's a transcript from a cinematic short on YouTube titled I Am Pink Bunny and Juarez, and it's tagged with Enigma and Aliicide.
The thematic shift in that transcript is jarring.
It reads literally like a script for a cartel action movie.
Yeah, it really does.
The dialogue says, wait, let me read it. This place is a dump. Let's check that house. Look, it's all here. Piles of coke, bags of cash, and guns. This is insane. We're rich. I can see you guys. We have snipers all around. I made it, and safe, in El Paso.
I mean, we have moved from internal existential dread to an external paranoiac survival scenario. It's a heist narrative.
Where did the depressive metal go? Now we have a copyrighted pink bunny escaping cartel snipers in Juarez with bags of cash.
Right.
It genuinely feels like they turned a metal band into an alternate reality game.
And for listeners who might not be familiar, an alternate reality game, or ARG, is essentially an interactive digital scavenger hunt.
Okay.
The creator scatters narrative clues across different websites, forums, and videos, and the fans have to actively piece the story together in the real world.
So my hypothesis here is people aren't even engaging with this as a traditional music release anymore. They are actively playing Amienigma's internet puzzle.
The evidence heavily supports that hypothesis. Enigma has built an interactive digital universe that requires audience participation. And they utilize a very specific, very modern internet tactic to drive that engagement.
What's that?
Mock hostility.
Yes.